They left the Scott house. Sam stopped the car near a small cozy cafe and passed out. Soon he returned with 2 glasses of hot chocolate with boiled condensed milk. Emma adored this particular drink, and it was nice to know that Sam remembered this and ordered this chocolate without added sugar, taking care of his preferences. "Thank you," she said, taking the hot glass from his hands. Sam parked in the shade, away from the bustle of the city, and turned off the engine. He turned to Emma and looked at her thoughtfully, trying to figure out where to start the conversation. Emma decided to help him and diffuse the situation. Despite all the recent setbacks that had occurred during this time, she now felt relatively safe, calm, and even happy. Happiness, because it seemed possible now to clear up all the misunderstandings. They both enjoyed this conversation and were tuned into it. There are too many unspoken words and feelings in each of them. "Chocolate with condensed milk?" She smiled at Sam, enjoying every sip. "Do you remember that I adored just like that?" "I couldn't forget, Emma," Sam answered seriously. "It's one of your many charming ways." "Do you want to forget this?" Emma looked at him hopefully. "I couldn't even if I wanted to," he said, looking at her soulfully. "All thoughts about you were like light in the darkness for me. They reminded me of the bright moments of our entire history." "Did you think about me?" she asked in surprise. It was really unusual and difficult for her to imagine that Sam was also thinking about her all this time. This fact warmed her soul and gave her confidence that their connection still existed. "Certainly. I was thinking about meeting you again and maybe changing our history if there was such an opportunity," Sam admitted sincerely. Emma felt a pleasant warmth not only from the hot chocolate in her hands, but also from the knowledge that her feelings were mutual. Everything about this evening was special. They drove away from the Scott house. Sam turned off the engine, and they both silently looked at the incessant rain outside the windows, because sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Emma was the first to break the silence, turning to Sam. "We've been silent for so long," she breathed, feeling the sudden relief of knowing that there was someone nearby who was ready to listen and support. "Yes," Sam replied amiably, realizing that she had kept her relationship under lock and key for too long. "It's time to fix everything." "Why did you come then?" Emma asked directly, looking into his eyes, looking for an honest answer. Sam hesitated, as if momentarily struggling with the demons of doubt and fear, but, having pulled himself together, he found the strength to be frank. "I heard how Benjamin has been keeping an eye on you and what he plans to do tonight. We were in the same company, and he boasted about his intentions." "Oh, how disgusting," Emma said, ceding her last shred of democracy to Benjamin. "I can't come to terms with this," Sam admitted, looking into her eyes. "I love you, Emma, for a long time, and I didn't want you for his sake." Emma felt as if she had been overcome by a storm of emotions, but this time the storm had subsided. Sam took his feelings seriously and was willing to fight for them. "Have you come to protect me?" she asked with surprise and at the same time tenderly. "Yes, I couldn't do otherwise, and I'm sorry that I had to intervene so abruptly in your life today." Now Emma knew that her intuition was correct. There was something deeper in Sam than just the mask of a cold rationalist. He learned bright and sincere actions for the sake of love. Sitting in the car with Sam, Emma knew that many obstacles and challenges lay ahead of them, but now she knew that they would cope with their task, holding hands. And it was real love that transformed their feelings. "I would never let Benjamin do that." Emma hesitated slightly, feeling her heart beat faster. "There have never been such agreements between us. Of course, I took the money, but promised to return every penny." "I understand," Sam interrupted, sighing quietly and looking at Emma again. He spoke about something he had perhaps been thinking about for too long. "I was wrong about you. You are not the person I took you for. These days without you, they opened my eyes. And when I heard Benjamin talk, I realized that you have nothing. No feelings, no relationship. Then why break it off?" "How much did you borrow?" Sam asked after a pause in which Emma could seriously see his intentions. $50,000, Emma answered quietly, looking into his eyes. "That's enough," Sam said, and quickly typed something on his phone. Emma looked at him in bewilderment, not understanding what was happening. "Done," Sam repeated, bringing his phone screen closer to her. and now a message appeared about transferring the entire amount of the debt to Benjamin's cattle. Relief was written all over his face. "I don't know how to thank you, Sam, but I didn't ask," Emma stuttered, feeling her eyes fill with tears. "You need this money, don't you?" "We need it," he replied, but there was more to his eyes than just financial calculation. "This is my savings for a house. For our house, Emma." Emma had no more questions. Sam said everything he needed to say and did more than he expected. He wanted Emma's mother to get better, so that Emma would never cry about it again, and he was ready to sacrifice himself for this. It was a real flow of love. "Are you sure of your feelings? What do you really want?" Emma asked cautiously, unusually touched by Sam's abrupt behavior. "If I wasn't sure, I wouldn't even mention it," Sam answered without hesitation. "And you won't look for opportunities for other kisses?" "No, Emma. Only you," Sam said with conviction. "And you believe that there was nothing between me and Benjamin?" "Of course I believe. Everything became clear after Benjamin's conversation. I calculated everything, and the picture in my head was restored correctly." "Do you want to know the whole truth before I answer your question?" Emma unexpectedly proposed a bilateral meeting. "Yes, of course, seriously," Sam replied, making it clear that his words should be taken with full responsibility. "There was never anything between me and Benjamin," Emma began. "Everything was invented so that you understand that I also know how to stand up for myself." Sam threw his head back in the seat and laughed. "Why are you mixing?" Emma asked, involuntarily laughing with him. "Now I understand everything. So it was the same day at the university, right? When we found ourselves in the corridor." "Yes, that's how it was," Emma clarified, feeling her heart become lighter. "Sam," Emma whispered, and again reached for his lips. All the words he spoke filled her heart with warmth and confidence. Everything turned out to be surprisingly simple after so many turns on their common path. "Now answer my question. Are you ready to be with me forever?" Sam asked, his gaze full of tenderness and sincerity. Emma looked into his eyes, full of expectation and love, and felt a wave of tenderness sweep through her. She had loved him all these years, since school, and was afraid of making a mistake. And although she deceived herself with expectations, in her religious soul, Emma always longed for this moment. "Come on," she said quietly, hugging Sam and snuggling into his warmth. She believed that the path to a happy future was now open to them, and so, hugging, they sat in the car, listening to the raindrops hitting the roof, realizing that the love that gave meaning to their entire journey had finally found its reciprocity. A few years later, Emma finished cleaning the last table in the huge nightclub hall. Sam came running and exhaled from fatigue. There is still a little time ahead, and the shift will come to an end. Fatigue took its toll because she could not get used to working at night. However, the job at Sam's Club began to pay well, which was necessary for her little daughter. At home, Emma always waited for her 3-year-old baby, whom she left with a caring neighbor while she worked. The dream of an ordinary family where dad helps put his daughter to bed is just a dream. Sam left before he knew about the baby, leaving Emma alone. However, she was a devoted woman, and despite the difficulties, she persevered and raised one daughter, still maintaining a secret hope that their sunny days would come. "That's it. Attention. The boss has arrived," announced the loud voice of the administrator. Emma quickly moved to the next table, involuntarily looking through the club door. She hadn't seen Sam since he left, and every visit to work was accompanied by quiet excitement. There were many rumors about the young and fit owner, but Emma never appeared to him as he could have become during these years. When Sam appeared at the door, Emma's heart sank. Her hands trembled, and the towel in them suddenly became cold. She didn't know whether to cling to him or pretend she didn't recognize him. Hide. Will this change anything? After all, if you design it, his attention will definitely be attracted. Maybe he didn't notice her? How can she now be an employee of a club where the source is the father of her child, who did not know about her existence, and so painlessly disappeared in the distant past? He must have left. Back? So was it Sam that all the waitresses were whispering about, discussing the invitation of the owner, about whom they had only heard rumors? The girls only called him boss, but Emma never thought it was him. Emma froze, not getting up from the floor, praying for herself that Sam would just look past her and not recognize her. And so he, step by step, seemed to be on the same level with her. Her heartbeat was beating so loudly that it seemed as if the entire club was silent. She held her breath, trying to be invisible. And then Sam stopped, as if he had stumbled upon an invisible object, and instantly turned around, freezing as if he had seen a ghost. Emma swallowed, feeling her hands tighten on the rag. An awkward meeting, especially after all this time. Her torment was interrupted by him coldly. "What are you doing here?" Sam recognized her, and it wasn't the best turn of events. "I'm working," Emma said barely audibly, feeling like a small abandoned ship in a stormy sea. Ironically, Sam ended up in the very club where she, in deep need, decided to settle down. Sam exchanged a glance with her, and his face became cold and distant. "From this moment on, you are fired," he said categorically. "Lola," he immediately called the administrator who came up, "I am convinced that she no longer performs here." Emma blushed with shame and a sense of injustice, but what could she do? She simply took her things and left, leaving Sam and the club behind. But deep down she felt that their story was not over yet. "Got it, Sam Scott." Lola turned, looking at her boss with respect. "Sam, maybe you could give the girl a chance." The bartender stood up for Emma. "What did she do wrong?" Sam didn't answer right away. His gaze became even more stern. "Lola," he said calmly, but the characteristic harshness in his voice spoke for itself. "Yes, Sam? Replace the bartender too. Maintain order." Sam's look did not bode well. Sam turned and, without looking back, walked towards his office, leaving behind order and precision in every movement. "Why did you come in?" Lola muttered under her breath, despite the situation, quickly reproaching the bartender for hasty actions. "I couldn't imagine that Sam would fire me too," the bartender replied, feeling mixed emotions inside himself. "Well, he'll fire me. That's a lesson for you," said Lola. "Okay, I'll go talk to him later. Maybe he'll have something to think about." "And you?" she returned to Emma. "What did you do that he answered like that?" Sam usually doesn't allow himself such impulses. The question was thrown at Emma, and although there was something to answer, she chose to remain silent. After all, what they had with Sam was their common problem, not for other people's ears. Without further ado, Emma threw herself on the table with a rag, wiped her hands, and tried it on. Because of him, there was no more work. No problem. There won't be another one. The only thing she could do well in this situation was to mitigate the criminal consequences for the bartender. However, this was no longer in her power. Emma didn't look back through the back entrance of the club, leaving behind the noise, neon lights, and heavy thoughts about the past with Sam. She didn't expect any attention from Sam, didn't demand anything other than resignation to reality. Entering a cozy cafe, Emma picked up a newspaper and began looking through the vacancies. Despite everything, she was determined to continue living and provide for herself and her little daughter. She needed a job and she found one. Suddenly her phone rang. The name Lola flashed on the screen. Emma's heart began to beat anxiously. She spoke and answered. "Emma, I think Sam just wasn't himself today. Come tomorrow, we'll sort everything out. The bartender said he would stand up for you. After all, he is not as soulless as he seems at first glance." Emma suddenly realized that perhaps this was an opportunity, not to return to work for the same club, but to properly close this chapter of my past. The next day, Emma came to the club, and, to her surprise, Sam was waiting for her, looking at her completely differently. What she saw before her was not a cold boss, but a man full of remorse. "Emma, I'm so sorry," Sam said. "I was cruel to you. I didn't know about my daughter. Let's start from the beginning. Can we talk?" There is sincerity in his voice, readiness for a new stage, for renewal. Emma agreed. They talked for a long time, and this conversation became the beginning of something more than just work. They got along well, and Sam played his part in his daughter's life. And gradually in Emma's life, she gained confidence in the future. The story of a nightclub, a strict boss, and a single mother turned into a family that learned to be together, love and forgive, for life.